Good evening, everyone. I am Dr. Anton Reece. On behalf of the WKCTC family, I want to thank each and every one of you for coming out tonight, and for those watching live stream as we celebrate our 20th anniversary celebration. This idea actually came from our own Janet Blythe, our Director of Marketing and Communications, who reminded me that it was the 20th year anniversary and that we needed to have some really pivotal and standout events to celebrate the incredible history that you'll be hearing about certainly this evening. So we actually kicked things off back in January, a cold January day, hot tea, hot chocolate, coffee right here in the Student Center. We had an incredible event 2 nights ago, of course recognizing Dr. Barbara M. Veazey and the renaming of the Allied Health Building, and you'll be hearing from her and the other panelists here as well momentarily. I hopefully that you had an opportunity to see some of the incredible still news clippings of part of that history. They say that a picture is worth 1,000 words. Well, a video then it will be millions of words. And so I want to draw your attention to what I would consider to be ahead of time an Oscar-worthy production. I will settle for the Golden Globe, but I'm going to go with Oscar, produced by our own J.T. Crawford and Dan. Cue video.
Frankly, no one wants change, and we didn't want change either. I was with the community college system. I know that I represented everyone when I said I work for the University of Kentucky. We were proud of that affiliation with UK. We were proud of the community college system. It had been quite successful all those years. Then West Kentucky Technical College, that long, long history of being one of the very first African American colleges in the nation. And they were very proud of offering the technical skills that were needed in many of the jobs.
I was Dean of Students at that juncture in time, and certainly there was a lot of anxiousness because you had two great colleges with, different missions, but certainly committed to serving students. And a lot of it, I think, revolved around identity.
But I was hired in 2002 as the president. My charge was to consolidate the two colleges.
Now, when West Kentucky Technical College and Paducah Community College, two already exemplary institutions, joined their missions together in 2003, our goal was to create the top college in the newly formed Kentucky Community and Technical College system. In my opinion, that's exactly what we did.
And I think one of the major initiatives or efforts that I took, along with a lot of support, is standing up and saying, we're going to do this, and ultimately we are going to become one of the premier community and technical colleges in this nation. I honestly think that zest for quality that we put out at the very beginning was one of the major steps that led us to consolidation.
I think the external validation, certainly by the national rankings that certainly began under Dr. Veazey's leadership and extended onto mine, there's something about, national and regional entities looking at an institution, and you can't apply, right? You can't even sell your own narrative. They look within and come up with the measures of excellence.
It made me really look at what we had achieved, and those achievements to me were monumental, looking at the time frame and how quickly they all happened.
But we worked it out, right? It took a couple of years really for things to settle in. But this hindsight is 2020. Now you hear more of the comments that we probably should have done it much sooner because of the synergy, really, and the benefits of having the best, if you will, of both institutions.
I sometimes tear up whenever someone asks me about, how do I feel about college. My life, big part raising my family, I was always at the college. So I have such strong feelings about the success of the college, keeping that success going, and being proud of what we did during my term as presidency. And so standing back now and looking at the college as it is today makes me even more proud.
We continue to really be in the upper tier nationally in terms of credentials and degrees awarded to students. Yeah, at the end of the day, that's very significant. When all is said and done, that there are more students throughout our entire region getting access to education and successfully coming across the finish line, if you will.
I have spoken across the country on how to develop a joint community and technical college, how we became so successful. How did it happen? Individually, as a community college, we were doing, we were a good community college. West Kentucky, the technical college, was a good technical college offering technical careers. But put us together, look at what we've been able to achieve. Individually, we could never be one of the top 5, number 2 community college in the nation. That happened because we came together, we brought both of our skill sets together, and in bringing those skill sets together, we moved forward. And that, to me, is absolutely the best outcome of that consolidation. Look what we've been able to do as a united community and technical college.
But here we are, 20 years later. The life of this college and the evidence of our success is in more than buildings and awards. It is in the thousands of lives that have already been touched by this life-changing institution. The students and families who we have the privilege to serve are the showcase of the power and impact of the past 20 years of WKCTC.
Oh, wow. Outstanding. Simply outstanding. Thank you so much again, J.T. Crawford and Dan. We'll see you at the Oscars. As I get ready to take you down memory lane, some of you are very young students, so this is going to be both a history lesson for those who were here. This is certainly some nostalgia, some reflection, at a real pivotal point, quite frankly, not only in the history of our college, but across what we now know as KCTCS. My vivid flashback, I can still vividly recall in the theater, Governor Patton being booed, being met by student protests, thinking we're going to lose our jobs. But I've assembled an all-star cast to take us down memory lane, and I want at this time to introduce our panelists, give them a warm round of applause as I introduce them. First, we will have Dr. Barbara M. Veazey to join us on stage. Dr. Veazey was the first president, as mentioned, from 2003 to 2016, and as noted, recently renamed the Health Services Building after Dr. Barbara M. Veazey for over 40 years of service to the college. Frank Rash, a longtime member of the House of Representatives. He served as a state representative for District 3, McCracken County, from 1993 to 2008, and as importantly, he was chair of the House Education Committee. Stephanie Milliken, who is our interim director of Workforce Solutions, but also known as an instructor with our CAD, and former dean of the Applied Technology Division. And last and certainly not least, Michelle Blankenship, who brings a unique perspective as a student at WKCTC, West Kentucky Tech, PCC, PJC, the world, and came back as an instructor. Give them all a round of applause. Panelists, please have a seat. audience, we're going to have a conversation tonight for 30 minutes. Then we will open it up to questions from the audience. We'll have some closing comments, and our own Jalen will be closing us out. Jalen Harris and Clay will be doing a performance to bring things home. So I do have a couple of questions to get the conversation started. And I definitely want to begin where I think is a real important marker. And I'm going to open this up to both Dr. Veazey and Frank Rash, because there were two primary decision makers during this time. Because actually, this consolidation discussion, controversial as it may be, actually began back in '97 time frame. And so let's start first with what really was the catalyst, the impetus, the motive behind this conversation that began in 1997. And we'll start with you, Frank, from the representative perspective.
Well, of course, on the consolidation end, of course, I presaged that a little bit. In '97 is when we had all the falderall about the massive changes in the post-secondary system, which kind of opened the floodgate for possibilities like you all have managed to do here, I think. But if you go back, well, when I first decided to run this state legislature, I was talking to Albert Jones, who was there at the time, and he said, Paducah is easy to represent because most of the stuff that's going on in the state, we've already figured out. Okay. It wasn't quite as easy as he led me to believe. But anyway, leading on then to 1997, Governor Patton called a special session for a drastic revision of the way post-secondary was done in the state. As a matter of fact, even acknowledging the term post-secondary was probably new at the time. But as you've heard, there was not much popularity about the part of the bill that separated UK and the community college. The community did not want to do that. The students didn't want to do that. Teachers didn't particularly want to do it because, frankly, they enjoyed being UK employees. There were so many unknowns about the proposed community college technical school system and so on and so forth that people felt like they'd be walking off a cliff if that went through. Well, this is all I heard before I got up there and while I was there too. So I concocted a proposed change to the thing that would leave everything intact with regard to community colleges and UK. Well, you've heard the crashing of a lead balloon. That's about the reception that it got. So I said, okay, I can live with this. Then I took the heart element out of the consideration because most of it was heart. Instead, I started looking at the bill and I said, this is a good thing. It won't be fun, but in the long run, people will be better served. Charles Jevin and I went to the governor's office and said, okay, we're on board. And that was the end of that. And the rest, as they say, is history. Although when you read the newspaper articles there, you sometimes wonder. It drug on a little while and so on and so forth. Let me say this, though. Talking about Paducah being a leader in many regards. Actually, if you go back before that bill, you had the Allied Health building and the program. That was a joint effort of PCC and the West Kentucky. So we already had some practice at doing what happened 20 years ago. Like Albert told me, we'd already figured out a lot of things. So the rest of it was just a matter of getting the details and making it all work. It was fun in a way as I look back. It was hard at the time because it's tough to make a decision you know nobody's going to like. But on the other side of the coin, I got there to try to make things better. I said, I think this will be better. It's a gamble, but I thought it would be. And I think your experience here has done an outstanding job of using that betterness to achieve marvelous, marvelous things.
And all of our panelists, you have a microphone next to you. All right. So, Dr. Veazey, as I turn in your direction, Representative Rash kind of threaded the needle a little bit in terms of what was happening even preceding the 97 timeframe. Share with us again about the Allied Health Initiative, and what were your initial thoughts when you heard about this pronouncement about this consolidation?
Well, I will take you back to the Allied Health Building. I said on Tuesday night at my wonderful, wonderful ceremony, which I am extremely honored to have the Allied Health Building in my name. I said on Tuesday, and it's true, when Dr. Clemens brought me into his office and said, we've gotten funding for a new building on campus, I thought it was nursing because we had campaigned strongly for that new building. But he said, oh no, it's going to be a shared facility with PCC nursing program and the West Kentucky Technical College allied health programs. And I'm going, no, we need all that space. You're not going to have it. And about that time, I had been appointed to a leadership program, the first for the University of Kentucky and Community College System. And he said, this is your project. You're in charge. You're going to make this happen. Well, he moved, we had plans drawn up. We did our big ceremony to groundbreaking. And then Dr. O'Hara became the president, and he wanted me immersed in that building, so I went into the basement. As it was being finished, we planned with West Kentucky Tech how we would jointly move in. And I said Tuesday night, and it's the truth, it wasn't a big deal for us. We might have had some ideas, and maybe we had wanted separate, but it was not a big deal, even though it was 30 years ago, and it was a big deal for the state. And I said Tuesday night, I did presentations everywhere, but actually we just moved in that building and we started to work, and we just started working together. But at that point, you were jointly occupying space. You were not integrating your programs at all. That was still to come. But in 1997, when all of this happened, I was the Dean of Academic Affairs. And Frank is absolutely right. We love to say at the community college, oh, we work for the University of Kentucky. That was our tie. But I'm going to be really honest with you. I think we knew that things were maybe not in the best of condition. Because the University of Kentucky, had the community college system, that didn't mean you shared in a lot of funding. So I think the funding piece of it has gotten lost in some of our communication. The funding pattern changed when the Kentucky Community and Technical College system was a standalone, and we had our own funding and we controlled that funding. That made a big difference in what we could do. So in 1997, I think we knew that was the best thing to do. We knew it. We had enough sense to know it was the best thing. It was just hard to do.
So as I look at Stephanie, let's talk about internally. What was the perception when word of the consolidation was coming forward?
Angst, I guess, would be the biggest word. Fear, terror, what's happening to us. Like we were talking a little bit earlier, will we still have our jobs? Because we were two different components. We had two different businesses. We had two different missions. What were we going to do together? How are we going to make this happen? I think we all felt just that whole anxiety with change anyway. What are we going to do? I don't know any of these people. I've barely met them, and I had been there 5 years when this consolidation came about. I was like, I don't know any of these coworkers. I got to meet all of these new people, and I had to be on committees with all of these people. I didn't know anything about what they thought was going on. So it was a really difficult place for faculty and staff I was on the technical side at that point, to see how can we go together. We work completely different. We have different scheduling. We have, just everything was totally opposite of what the community college at that time was doing as far as the technical. So I would just say we were just a nervous wreck at that point.
Very good. And Michelle, let's talk about your stints, plural, as a student, both, quote, on the technical side and then coming over to the community college.
So I graduated from the practical nursing program in 1994, and I was in the allied health building. I don't know where we were at that point. And then when I came back in 2005 for my RN degree, we were also in the allied health building. So it was kind of like coming back home. And as a student, I was so excited just to be able to have the quality education that I received at the technical college. And then when I graduated from the West Kentucky Community Technical College, that education was just as beneficial. And I believe that it didn't really affect me as much because it didn't really matter what my diploma said. I know that in 2005, we had already switched, and I know students had talked about, well, my diploma is no longer going to say UK on it. But being a first-generation student, just having that quality education is what meant the most to me. And I think we had it here. That's why I was here 3 times and came back. So
Learning never ends, as they
Never.
say. So, Dr. V, so we've moved through from 97. You mentioned about the forerunner with the Allied Health. There was some dynamics internally on both sides, if you will. So I'm thinking then, though, that there was some strong leadership needed to address what I would put in the general category of, first, the identity. You had 2 incredible institutions, rich history. How did we come up with a name? And what was that like?
Well, 1997 is when the system was formed. We actually did not move toward consolidation until 2002. Now, between 97 and 2002, we knew we were going to come together. I mean, that was given. But we had that opportunity from 97 to 2002 to work together on, like Stephanie said, we worked on committees. We started trying to figure out how we would operate. But we had not officially and did not officially start the actual consolidation until 2002. How would we operate? We had a dean of academic affairs on both campuses. We had dual positions as we started into everything. So we worked on that. We had to work on governance, faculty council, all those things that you have to be accredited by the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools. We had to start putting that together at this college. So the name specifically, we had committees for everything. And I do want to later on talk about some of our challenges with what we did. But at that point in time, we had committees a committee, naming committee. We had a consultant come in that listened to everyone. Everything was about listening. And listened to what people thought about that name, had community members, board members, faculty, staff, students. And that name was so very important to Paducah Community College, the history, West Kentucky Technical College, the history there. So the name was probably the most important thing that happened. And some people, and I think most everyone, came together with that name. You would always have an outlier, but basically we embraced that name and moved forward.
So I'm doing the math in my head, right? So 97 to 2002, 2003, that was a 6-year period, which strikes me as a pretty long period of time. I was here a good portion of that, obviously, too. As you reflect on it, which part of what you described was the most challenging? The duplication, the naming?
I think there was, we had not, I think if we look back and we cited some of the things, it was how we would come together in leadership. And there was resistance even after 1997, and it happened, and it was state level. It was going to happen, but there was still resistance. And I mean, I can address it now or what, but you can. All right, there's some new leaders. I see you. You can listen, and you can listen, and you can have committee meetings, but at some point in time, you have to say, this is the way it's going to be, and we're going to move forward. And I can listen to you. I don't want to, offend you, but we worried so about offending each other that it took us 5 years to stop trying to offend each other. We're going to do this, and you've got to get on board or leave or be quiet. But they were never quiet. No, people were never quiet. But you just have to, at some point, take action. Do you remember taking action?
I just remember the numerous meetings, continuous meetings, ad nauseum, as they would say. So, Michelle, you were a student during this time. Certainly, as you listened to this portion of the conversation, were you aware of this as a student, that there was this kind of internal tensions, having been in both colleges?
So in '99, I graduated from PCC, and I think that was during the time of the discussions. As a student, I was not aware that the discussions were going on. I had heard rumor about the possible coming together as one school, but as a student, no, I didn't have a lot of knowledge about all those meetings.
And so, Frank, I'm curious. So during this time where tensions, I think, were known, you were our primary rep. What was it like at the state level amongst your peers?
Actually, once the dust settled and the reality was there, there really weren't too many problems. Like Robert said, you got to work it all out. And there was a lot of hassle with that. But it was out of my realm. We had pushed off all that responsibility to the boards of governance and so on and so forth. And it was their job to figure it out. Money, all this good stuff, said, this is the direction you ought to go. That was the legislative end of it. Mm-hmm. And after that, it was how you going to do it. Any
challenges with funding?
There's always challenges with funding. That's a given. Mm-hmm. And it's always, the worst job in the legislature to me would be trying to do the budget for human resources. Because how do you compare somebody's health insurance or whatever with this child over here who's deaf and needs to go to a school like that, and on and on and on? They just don't reconcile very well. And that, I think, is part of the problem you've had with trying to get the community college and the technical school. You spoke two different languages, different means of accreditation, and all this type of stuff, and you just have to fight your way through the mess. In the end, I hope it was well worth it. It looks like it was.
We think so. Yes.
I do have a follow-up. A year, Dr. O'Hara was vehemently against the bill in '97, but a year later, he said, best thing ever happened to us. I said, music to my ears.
Dr. Reece, I'm curious, any thoughts of, as we were going through this whole process, was there ever a moment where you thought, it's just not going to happen? Any doubts or?
No. I might, we might have had problems, but I remember a student has said to me recently, when we're talking about the 20th anniversary, he was in carpentry at West Kentucky Technical College. And he said to me, you might not have wanted it. We remember, they knew, Michelle, that not in the Allied Health Building area. but they had some sense that there were people vehemently against this, but we wanted it. And I think that knowing that, and having traveled around a bit, you start looking at other colleges, other systems that have been jointly together for years, or maybe that's how they started. You knew what they were doing, and you knew it was what we should be doing. And always knowing that that was what was really the goal, but it was a good goal. And you knew it. You knew it was going to happen, and it should happen. And knowing that, I never had any doubts. But I think there were individuals that thought that if they put enough resistance up, they tried to build that resistance within the faculty and staff or within the community, they could halt it, and that just was not going to happen.
It's a good segue. I was going to ask the faculty, which is the core of the teaching mission. What was that? Any doubts from the faculty perspective in this process?
I'm very cautious. You've said it very well, Dr. Vesey, because there was a lot of chatter amongst faculty and staff on the technical college side. They did not want the consolidation. I know it. I was in a small group of people at that time. It was very hard, and she's right. There was a, how can we make this not happen? And I really think they felt that if we kept, as you case, stir the pot, if they kept talking about things and how this won't work, or they tried to figure out ways of, that there's no way this can happen, and they found people to keep talking to, I really think they thought they could stop it. On the other hand, though, those of us who were probably, at that point I was still new, I attended PCC. I thought, this is probably a really good thing because we get all our general education right there. Why not let our students have a part of that? So there was also a lot of us that was like, yeah, you just go talk, but you might as well just get ready. It's coming, it's going to happen, and it's going to be better for our students, because now my student doesn't just leave here with this certificate that doesn't sound as good as a diploma or degree. And we had just kind of started offering those degrees, but it's still, we didn't have the same transfer plans. So we had so many more opportunities coming that in the back of your head, if you didn't even like the consolidation, you had to know it had to be the best thing for these students that we had, that they had a larger opportunity and a larger place to attend college and transfer if they wanted to and have a better life for themselves.
Just one or two questions, then I'm going to open it up to the audience. Looking back, anything you would have done differently?
I say this to you, when I talked about, and Stephanie confirmed, there were a group of people that really opposed, and it was hard. It was really hard for me every day to come to work and hear such opposition. But somewhere it did have to stop. And I remember we were trying so to give everyone a voice. And no one was going to lose their job. That was part of the very beginning. From the get-go, don't worry, no one will lose their job. But to hear this ongoing, you had to have a strong team behind you, or you would fold. And surround yourself not with people who tell you everything you want to hear, but believe strongly in the mission and what you're trying to go to your goal. You have to have that strong team. And remember that I said on this stage tonight, you have to figure a way to silence, but it doesn't have to be like silence. But you have to be strong to be able to achieve your goals. And you can't keep meeting and you can't keep talking. You have to take action. But you need to surround yourself with strong people that can help make it happen.
So as we wrap this portion up and open up to the audience, we talked then about some of the complexities and the challenges with the journeys. what is your, as you look back at it now, what is your favorite moment from the consolidation? Let's work it back this way. Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna work.
I'm going to second what Stephanie said, because whenever I was at West Kentucky Technical College, it was a diploma degree, which led me back here in '99 to get transfer credits to go to another college. So the consolidation to me was such a betterment for this entire community, not just this campus, the entire community, because it gave people a way to be educated and get transfer credits where they could go on to a four-year college, where we did not have that when I was at just the technical college. So.
That's right. All right.
What's the question again?
Yes, what's your favorite, looking back now, you know, the consolidation has been successful, but what was your, if you had to pick a favorite moment?
I think when it happened was my favorite moment. You have to understand, I went to PJC to a night course in psychology under Dean Matheson. And I went to PCC to take a computer course in assembler language because you had a mini computer that you could actually touch. Of course, you were punching cards and you were feeding cards into it. But these opportunities for me were fantastic. Now, well, I think the reality is that the two things that you're teaching aren't as far apart as tradition would dictate. Look at what they've done at Tillman. They've connected the trade school with the hub, with the regular school. There's no longer that large wall between the types of learning. You take one, you take those skills over to the other, you learn something here, and you take it back over here. And I think that's the way life is. How many people in this room are doing what they thought they would be doing when they got their bachelor's degree? There won't be a lot. But all the other stuff that you pick up gives you the tools to do even more and to build on. And so it's crazy to have a wall between the two types of learning. And the reality is, it's all one. It really is. And I think the more that we can make that possible and inviting to people, then the stronger the society we're going to have and the better off we're all going to be.
Favorite moment? Please.
Graduation, for sure. Our first graduation as a consolidated college, we were too large. We outgrown. We used to do graduation in the theater here. First the gymnasium, then the theater. But we had to move to an entirely new facility, and ultimately we moved to the convention center. It was before Carson. But to be able to move into an entirely new location, larger, much larger, for all of the families to come together, and ultimately 2 graduation ceremonies, because we were too large for the Carson Center. But to see that many people, that many families gathered together to watch their students walk across the stage, be it for a certificate, a diploma, associate degree, and to know that an individual student could make that journey seamlessly at this college. That was my first time to have that thrill of what this actually meant.
Stephanie?
It's a very tough question. Favorite moment of consolidation?
Yeah, looking back.
It is events. I feel like it is events, maybe not just graduation, but when we all have summer picnics and you see faces, when we have holiday lunches and you see all the faculty and staff that have retired and come back, the moments that we have like this where you see old friends that were West Kentucky Techs and or PCC, and we're all still together. We enjoy visiting, we enjoy seeing each other, and that consolidation, if it hadn't happened, I would have not known a lot of people. I would have probably never worked with Dr. Veazey and had the strong leadership and the role model that she was for several things that I've done in my roles here at the college. So I feel like those are all moments to be proud of for what we went through, as bad as it seemed to be at the time, to where we are today.
One of those events was the summer picnic, and we did the Ike and Tina Turner review. That's a true story. So this is a teaching and learning opportunity. We want to hear now from our students first, and then we'll open it up to the audience. So, students, who's going to fire away with the first question? Do they have a microphone? All right, Melissa has the microphone. All right, first question.
Hi, my name is Lois Akpavio, and I'm the Vice President of the Student Government Association, and my question is for you, Ms. Blankenship. As a student, what would you describe as one of the top 2 concerns going into the consolidation?
I'm going to be honest, I did not have any concerns. I knew Dr. O'Hara personally, and Bill Houston was the president of West Kentucky Technical College. I had no concerns as a student because we were so close-knit at West Kentucky, and as we were as PCC as a student. And to be able to know both sides of campus, it was only amazing that we came together, so, in my opinion.
Thank you.
Next question.
Hi, my name is Lindsay Gibson. I'm the Student Government Association President. My question is also for you, Ms. Blankenship. And I know that you've touched on this a little bit already tonight, but what were the changes that you saw as a student because of the consolidation? Is there anything that you would like to add?
The changes. We were able to finally get transfer credits, for one, by being at both colleges. And that was, I believe in education to the fullest, and I think that everybody should get an education, quality education. And so, to me, no, not really.
All right, thank you so much.
All right, next student question.
Hey, I'm Joshua Morris. I'm the SGA student rep. This is for Dr. Reece. So what exactly was the impact merging on student for their enrollments?
What did consolidation mean to enrollment, right? What it was capable of doing is we increased enrollment dramatically after we consolidated. I think, and I mentioned the money earlier, the whole persona of the community college, I think, changed when we could come together and we could actually say and promote that you could come and keep going and transfer. So I think we put a great deal of emphasis on the advantages of what this meant to us. And our enrollment, it really skyrocketed at the time. And that's when we started doing dual credit. And I think an important part of consolidation too was from the very beginning, we said we were going to be the best. We didn't really know what that meant. There was not an Aspen award at that time at all. But every program within the college, whether it had been taught by the community college or the technical college, went through an accreditation process as a program. So if you were in culinary arts, for example, then you would go through the Culinary Federation of America, their standards, and get actual program approval for every program we had. That was huge, to be able to say that when you came here, you were actually coming to the best college, the best in everything, because we made sure it met all those standards. That meant a lot to the public. So our enrollment, it really boomed.
Any other student questions? All right, let's open to the audience. If you just put your hand up so that Melissa can see. And any audience questions? We've got time for a couple questions from the audience. Don't be shy. Audience questions.
I'm a teacher. I will come and make you ask a question.
Oh, there we go.
So I'm Charlene Ray, and I'm a new instructor with the Allied Health and Nursing. And my question is, when you consolidated, how was your relationship with UK at that time? Is it now stronger when you consolidated, or did it remain the same?
That's a good question.
I think that it became, I can say, we have a very strong relationship with the University of Kentucky, and that's because of the University of Kentucky College of Engineering. We started that, it was 5 years into, they're celebrating their 25th anniversary as we celebrate our 20th. And we work very strongly with UK to develop that program. I was Dean of Academic Affairs at that time. So we have a bond with UK, and that has only strengthened over the years because of that, and hoping for expansion of the University of Kentucky College of Engineering programs. So it's very strong. It's stronger now than it was before consolidation.
Any other questions? All right, panel, let's do a quick 1-minute closing as you reflect on this conversation. Anything that stands out and that you want to add?
I came as a beginning instructor under Dr. Reece's leadership, and this college meant a lot to her, and you could tell that by how she led the college. And I was very proud to be a member of this college, and I think it was when I graduated here, it was 3 years after the consolidation, and then as I came back, and I could not be more proud of the consolidation that took place, because it grew stronger, I believe. And then as coming back as an instructor, it's everything that it could have ever been. So I think it's great. Thanks Frank and Dr. Reece for leading the way.
Right.
On one of my road trips out west, I stopped at a museum that belonged to I think a New Mexico Community College Technical School, whatever the combination is. They had an outstanding program in paleontology, dinosaur bones. And they had an outstanding program in metallurgy. And half the stuff in the museum was dinosaur bones made out of bronze. The two schools worked hand in hand, and I can promise you a lot of metallurgists learned a lot of paleontology and vice versa.
All right, Dr. Reece, top that.
I'm going to sound so boring. What this has meant, I said in the video, Paducah Community College was a great community college. We loved it. I know that Stephanie loved working, and the others all loved West Kentucky Technical College. But you could never have been separately what we are together. It just would not have happened. And to have started where we did, even though there might have been disgruntlement, that's may be a mild word, but to have started from that point and come forward to 20 years later and look at what we're celebrating tonight, and the many things that we could talk about, individual programs, everything that is good about education, I think is reflected in this college.
So it's hard to top all of those because you put me at the end of the line to have to say something. Wow. How to top that? I've gone on 25 years, so I've been tech school, I was a PCC graduate. No, I never did ever believe that I would probably stay here this long, because there were some really rocky times as we moved along. It is a very hard thing to go back and say that it was great and wonderful, because it wasn't a lot of times. And just to know that internally, but now to sit up here and say, yeah, it was rough, but looking back is just like anything in life. You have to go through the change, and you have to spend a few years there, and then eventually you look and you're like, that was nothing, because look where we have gone to. Look where we are today. Look at the people that have come in and out of your lives that you've worked with, you've made friends with, you've had students that have been employed, you've had students that have had families, so many things that we've done for people. We could not have done it, I don't believe, as two separate entities. Someone would have had to have given up a career opportunity or a life path that they wanted if we had not been there to have the two colleges together with all that support, with the funding that we got because we became a system, and all of the things moving forward with the people we have. So I appreciate that I've had this experience in my life, and I've had the experience with the people that I currently work with, former work with, and all the friends that we've made. And I just think it's a good thing for every student to come to West Kentucky, get started before you go somewhere else, get that wonderful feeling of home and family, and then make the rest of your journey in life.
Please join me in congratulating and thanking this incredible panel, taking us back 20 years. Thank you so much. We certainly are looking forward to 20 more years. We do have some gifts of appreciation to our panel coming forth. These are gas cards. It's a joke. It's a joke. Yeah. Thank you. Again, panelists, let's give them again one more round of applause. Thank you so much. And as you exit the stage, back to your seats, we want to do a couple of special recognitions. You know, I really want to tip my hat off to several of the members of the coordinating committee, the 20th anniversary. Janet Blythe, no, she's in the back. Mary Beth, they were kind of like the tag teamers. But then certainly several members here from the TV department, photography, the entire group. Shay and his team, et cetera, has just been really top class. Quality of excellence, culture of excellence on full display. Very, very, very proud and pleased, and I want to thank each and every one of you for your support. This celebration will continue in different forms, meaning that, so in the Matheson Library, they have recently released a new digital collection online, the West Kentucky Community Technical College Commencement Program. It's a 20-year collection from 2003 to the present. So you'll see select archives, special collections, also on the library's website, where you get an opportunity to see, as Dr. Veazey mentioned, it all comes together at graduation, right? So you'll see all those graduates, honors and degrees and featured speakers over that period of time. Additionally, special displays highlighting WKCTC's 20 years as an institution are available for viewing Monday through Friday, 8 to 4 in the library, which is on the second floor of the Matheson Learning Resource Center. You can contact Archivist Leanne Paxson or our own Amy Sullivan, Director of our library. With that, it will be concluding, again, an incredible 20-year journey, and we are going to call upon Jalen to close us out. Let's give him a round of applause as these students bring the program to a close.